studies, it should really come as no surprise that the use of hydroquinone has been banned in many countries throughout the world. In spite of all of this, hydroquinone is the only ingredient recognized as a lightening agent by the United States Food and Drug Administration. Consequently, any other ingredient used to lighten skin must be referred to as a brightening agent and not a whitener or a lightener. In the past few years, as hydroquinone has fallen out of favor and even banned in most of the world, there's been an onslaught of alternative brightening agents that are now marketed to combat hyperpigmentation. At the International Dermal Institute, we have studied the various mechanisms that are known to impact melanin formation. We know that we can control the process by influencing various steps along the biosynthetic pathway. Perhaps the best studied step involves that of the tyrosinase enzyme. For years, scientists have been looking for ways to regulate this enzyme and therefore slow melanin formation. One can regulate tyrosinase by either slowing down its activity or competing for its substrates, either tyrosinase in step 1 or L-DOPA in step 2. An example of a mechanism that controls tyrosinase activity would be the use of rice extract. The phytic acid that is found in rice binds the copper metal ions, slowing down 2 of the tyrosinase-mediated reactions. In the past few years, the list of agents that bind copper and help control pigment formation has been expanded to include many ingredients, such as kojic acid and aspergillus ferment, a fungal extract. There's also rumex extract, commonly known as yellow dock plant, and ergothioneine, a plant amino acid. We even have gluconic acid and zinc glycinate. All of these can inhibit the tyrosinase enzyme. There are many botanical extracts that have been studied for their ability to inhibit the enzyme as well. These include kiwi fruit extract, or rumex, known as yellow dock, Phyllanthus emblica fruit extract, nasturtium, the common flower that you may see in your garden, even mulberry and bearberry, as well as licorice and Ferula foetida, the giant fennel plant extract. All of these plant extracts are believed to contain an active agent that competes with tyrosine, the amino acid, for the tyrosinase enzyme's attention, but not being the real thing, they don't result in melanin formation. This process is known as competitive inhibition. While the use of hydroxyacids in skin brightening products has generally been utilized to accelerate desquamation or the removal of pigmented keratinocytes, it's recently been shown that a 5% concentration of lactic acid will inhibit the formation of the tyrosinase enzyme, thereby slowing down the process of melanin synthesis. This new approach to affecting melanin synthesis is unique to lactic acid and does not occur with the other hydroxyacids such as glycolic acid or the beta-hydroxyacid salicylic acid. Other exfoliating agents used in brightening products include pumpkin enzyme or lactobacillus ferment and galacto-arabian, a molecule that stimulates your skin's natural desquamation. Another means to control hyperpigmentation is to control inflammation. The use of anti-inflammatory agents such as licorice extract or green tea with its polyphenols and white tea and mulberry will all help to address the connection between inflammation and pigment formation. These extracts also may act as antioxidants, slowing many of the oxidative steps involved in melanogenesis. More recently, scientists have demonstrated other potential points in the pathway that can control melanin formation. Niacinamide stops the transfer of melanosomes to the neighboring keratinocytes, while glucosamine stops the activation of the tyrosinase enzyme, a required step before melanin synthesis can even occur. The more familiar ascorbic acid, or vitamin C, has been used for years to control melanin formation. But newer, stabilized derivatives of vitamin C, including my favorite magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, or MAP, and ascorbyl glucoside, and tetrahexyldecyl ascorbate, are all used to control melanogenesis now. These derivatives can scavenge free radicals that cause erratic melanocyte activity, as well as act as antioxidants, inhibiting oxidation steps in the formation of melanin. More recently, peptides have been investigated for their ability to control pigmentation. Oligopeptide 34 is a state-of-the-art peptide that has been shown to inhibit tyrosinase activity. While the mechanism is not clearly understood, results indicate that it brightens the skin, especially sun-induced hyperpigmentation, in half the time compared to other brightening complexes. So you can see, we have evolved beyond just controlling steps 1 and 2 in melanin formation. In summary, we have numerous options that we can target to get effective control over hyperpigmentation. From impacting the initial signaling to make melanin, the well-studied steps 1 and 2, to the lesser-known oxidative steps, and even the transfer of melanosomes to keratinocyte cells, all of these are potential targets in controlling pigmentation in the skin. The first step, as with any skin treatment, is the consultation card. Determine what your client's main concerns are, and then the possible causes. Take a complete history to determine medications, hormonal influences, stress levels, product uses, etc. Start with a skin analysis. Not all of the client's pigmentation may be visible on the surface of the skin. A Woods lamp that emits UV light or skin scanner can come in handy for not only you, but even your client to see and understand what may possibly come to the surface. A Woods lamp can be used to determine the depth of melanin in the skin. The variations in epidermal pigmentation become more apparent under a Woods light. For dermal pigmentation, the contrast is less pronounced and is a good indicator that the pigmentation is going to be more difficult to treat. Exfoliation is one of the most important steps in treating hyperpigmentation, especially when we utilize lactic acid at a 5% concentration or higher. Exfoliation helps slough the layers of keratinocytes that contain the excess melanin pigment. When doing the professional treatment, consider the use of electrical equipment to drive active ingredients down to the melanocyte at the base of the epidermis. Ultrasonic, galvanic iontophoresis or microcurrent, and specific iontophoresis can all be used over a complex or serum that helps deliver the active ingredients further into the skin. Above all, we need to be realistic with the results we can achieve on our clients, which means proper prescription of appropriate products for at-home use. It's important that you work closely with the client, keep them motivated and dedicated to their skincare regimen. This may include a series of professional treatments once a week for 6 weeks to get them started. Regardless of which brightening agents one selects for treating hyperpigmentation, the key thing is to remember that they must be consistent in using the product every morning and night for at least 8 weeks before you will detect an improvement. Even if you could shut down all new melanin biosynthesis in the skin, remember it still takes about 45 days for the cells with melanin to naturally slough off our skin. At the same time you're treating existing hyperpigmentation, you must use a minimum SPF 30 on the skin whenever outdoors. Too often, someone is religious about application of his or her pigment lightener and brightening products, but then they forget to apply a sunscreen, and within 24 hours, the hyperpigmentation spots can reappear. Remember, the depth of the pigmentation will dictate the degree of effectiveness when treating hyperpigmentation. Dermal pigmentation is obviously more difficult to treat than epidermal pigment. For obvious reasons, hormonally induced pigmentation and deeper post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation are even more difficult to treat. The easiest to treat is, of course, the sun-induced hyperpigmentation. And remember, you and your client should have realistic expectations as to the degree of lightening that you will achieve. It's highly unlikely that you will make a spot disappear, but you can reduce its intensity and help to even out the overall pigmentation of the skin. Not all hyperpigmentation spots will respond favorably. If 75% of your clients get significant lightening to hyperpigmentation, that's considered a very good result. Thank you for joining us for today's webisode on understanding and treating hyperpigmentation.